Hello, Megan.
Hello, Michelle.
Welcome to the Spicy Brain Podcast. Where we're navigating neurodiversity with curiosity, joy, and
Radical acceptance. High kick.
If you're new, we're so happy that you're joining us. We really focus on all things neurodiverse, but we've been focusing specifically on ADHD recently. And if you're returning, we love you guys so much. We have such a great community.
Love
and
you guys.
Yes, and we got a few shout outs this week, and one of them specifically I just wanted to mention. So we've been doing this series. We usually kind of read a book and we bring up either something from the book, an example of my life, Megan's life. We dig into that brain of hers or mine.
Yep.
Sometimes depends on the
Sometimes
day.
yours.
I don't identify as ADHD, but you do.
Yes.
And we have friends who have some variant of these things that they're thinking about. And so sometimes they identify with things we're talking about. And last week we were talking about sleep. And so Taryn, who is longtime listener and great friend of mine. Hi, Taryn.
Hi, Taryn.
Oh my gosh, her dog, Sophie, who is like the cutest dog in the world. But anyway, so she sends this message to me and she said, loved the podcast this week. Sleep is so hard. I think Megan's strategies of words would keep me up. So you have a thing of like some strategy with words, right? And what is it you do? You pick a word and then you try to
imagine every single, I try to imagine as many words with the beginning letter of each word.
So you do like smile and then S. You think of all the S words and then that.
Correct,
Anyway, so
yeah.
for her, she said that would completely keep her awake. She has tried the counting backwards, the one like I did from 100 to sevens, but because she's a mathematician, she had to start a random higher number because she had memorized the pattern, which is totally Taryn. So yeah, because she gets it, so it's too much. But her current routine, she said, is to, and I thought other people might appreciate this, is to listen to Harry Potter with a 10-minute timer. And she's listening to the book, the audiobook. And she says, because I'm super familiar, she's a super reader, right? But super familiar with the story. So it doesn't stimulate me or stay awake, but it also keeps my brain engaged enough to fall asleep. And I wanted to talk to you about that concept.
Interesting.
Your brain has to be engaged enough to fall asleep. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Most nights she can make it before the timer's up. But if not, then she just sets another 10 minutes. And I was like, that's kind of cool. And she found this
cool.
just like a lifesaver for her because sleep is really hard. So
really hard.
Again, last week we were talking like 80% of people with ADHD have trouble sleeping.
Yeah.
And if I've had more than 2 glasses of wine, I have trouble sleeping. But if I don't, I've never had trouble sleeping, right? So I don't identify with this 100%, but you did. And I was curious, this idea of having to keep your brain stimulated enough. Do you like, does that make sense to you?
100%. Yeah. As soon as you said that, I was like, oh, that's actually a great way of stating it, because she's right. Like, I'm keeping my brain engaged enough so that I'm not actually, what's the word? Like, I'm not like, so, okay, let me just say this. It's really easy for my brain to go in many directions all at once and not be able to do anything. And so what ends up happening is like, I'll just start spiraling into like random thoughts. And it's not like I'm having a coherent message, like conversation with myself. It's just like random things are popping into my head. And, and then it just like, I go down these like crazy rabbit holes of like, okay, I'm looking at my AirPod right now and it's white, and the white rabbit does go down a hole, and then All in the Hole is such a great game. But you know what game is the best is it going to be, and I just go down like, and so I've started with AirPods and I'm now in a video game, Animal Crossing, right? Like, that's what would happen. Like when we were driving, long distances, and I'd see something on a license plate, and then none of you guys knew what it was I saw. And then you're like, I just all of a sudden would say something random and you're like, well, how did you get there? And I'm like, it's a very clear logic, you guys. Okay. This is how I got there. So I think that like, I find myself like that's what happens to me. Like I'm in Ferrari mode when I'm going to sleep. And I'm just like, it's just whatever that is. Like, it's just, one thing to another, to another, to another. So I do like this idea that she says about keeping it just enough, because that's exactly what I'm doing with this technique that I found. And what I find actually most interesting is that depending on the brain, for her, listening to something that she's familiar with will keep her brain interested just enough. And I can kind of understand that because like if I'm working on, let's say like a puzzle or something that's like I have to look down on, I love listening to like Big Bang Theory or Stargate SG-1 or Star Trek or one of those like that I know really well. And I like to have it on the background. Like when I was like remodeling my home, I had Big Bang and Stargate on in the background. And so I didn't have to actually see it to like be able, I didn't have to actually look at the TV to be able to see it. I could hear it. And then I like could visualize everything that was happening in that moment. So I could still enjoy the show but still get my work done. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does.
No.
So
okay.
Is that the same for sleep?
So I'm thinking like what she's saying is like that. Yeah. I mean like that. I think if you're doing something mundane, right? Something that is like, that is familiar or just like, for me, that's just like just enough to keep my brain going so that I can continue doing a task is to listen to that. I mean, I've never thought about like, can I fall asleep to Big Bang? Although I do really enjoy that one. So it would have to be something that would kind of a little bit. I mean, think about like just the soothing Stephen Fry talking the entire time about Harry Potter. I mean, it probably is very soothing. So maybe if I had a soothing voice.
A soothing one. Yeah, that's great. And then it's not something new, so you're not super engaged with it, but it's soothing.
I mean, it is, it is funny because like I'll take naps in the middle of the day sometimes and I'll be like watching some politics stuff and then I'm watching and I just like pass out. Or like there was this lady I would listen to who was, she was a lawyer. And so just having her talking and she's just like, going through whatever legal document. So it's like pretty dry stuff, but it's fascinating like when you're awake. But then after a while, I'm like, I'm just passing out.
You and the pugs too. They like crawl up on you, right?
Oh yeah. And then like you got the weight on you. Oh yeah. I found
the best.
So guys, I'm actually in Tucson right now. And
I know
literally,
you're here.
I know I'm here and I'm still not there because like I'm in Josh's
we had to change rooms.
Then,
we couldn't be in the same room.
Yeah, because like our voices are so loud, like the microphone kept picking it up, and it would have just been like this echoing chamber of craziness. So but when I've been sleeping, I had to like grab. You have this like pillow that's really dense that you let me borrow. And originally it was going to be for like my legs, but then we found something else. And so then I realized like I miss Daisy just like curling up in my legs. So like I took the pillow and I put it in between my legs so that like I felt like Daisy was on top of me.
Daisy was with you. Oh, that's so cute. Yeah. So I wanted to bring this up again because this is the chapter we're on in Your Brain Is Not Broken by
Tamara Rosier, PhD.
Yes. And she says there's sort of this whole chapter about adulting with ADHD. And it's called Dancing Through the Day, Hacks for Adulting was the title of the chapter. And I thought we talked all about the sleep. And she said there's really three things. And this one, we're going to talk about the second one, which is peak times. And so that you really need to like make sure you figure when is your best time to work and protect that time. So she's just talking about strategies overall. And I think sleep though is the number one strategy.
Yeah. Sleep is, and I'm wondering, did I bring it back to why I thought that Taryn's idea was smart? I can't remember. It's an ADHD kind of day. I just was going to say that for any, like, because our brains are all so different, I think the question really is like what in your brain works well to like kind of keep your mind going a little bit, but not revving it up. Like she said, what was the phrase that she used, Michelle? Like she just kept it going just long enough.
Sorry, I have it on my phone. So 1 second.
Oh, I apologize.
No, it's totally fine. I just was going a different direction and now we're back to this. So I'm just pulling
I
up.
just was remembering it and I needed to.
So it doesn't stimulate me to stay awake, but it also keeps my brain engaged enough to fall asleep.
Right. So I think that's the key when you guys are trying different techniques. Like, because everyone's different, right? So like when you're, there's all these different techniques you can try. Think of them like different tools and you're just trying to find the right tool in the toolbox for this job. And so then as you're doing it, this is one of the things where you can be aware of like your body and kind of what's going on. And is it stimulating you enough that you're not going down the rabbit hole of the Ferrari brain and you're able to focus on that one thing, right? So she's able to focus on Harry Potter. I'm able to focus on the words for the most part. But like something that's just key. So like, I think that's the key is like whatever the technique is, does it allow you to stay somewhat engaged just enough so that you're not going into Ferrari mode? That's all I wanted to say.
That's interesting. Yeah. Like Ferrari mode. No, it's good. I was thinking about, again, the chapter that we're on is this idea of adulting, right? And again, she calls it dancing through the day, like hacks for adulting. And the 3 things that she recommends to her clients, this Tamara Rosier, PhD from Your Brain Is Not Broken, is really managing sleep is the number one thing. And I think that when we're talking about that, I think it's true for everybody, right? Because it has actual consequences to your health. Anyway, so for everybody, this is a true thing. And I think one of the things that kids are having a really hard time with, that at least that I'm seeing, is managing their sleep. And that's causing more ADHD-like symptoms because they're on their phones and they're not getting the full rest they need. And then there's also this idea, but it's harder, right, for people with ADHD anyway. So it's, you know, it just makes it that much more difficult. And then she has 2 other things. She talks about protecting your peak time and learning to rehearse. And today I kind of wanted to talk about the peak time and what that means and what you might do for it if you do. And I was thinking about it for myself too, because I think these are all strategies everyone can identify with and kind of think about. It's just that for people with ADHD, it's almost like your lifeline to be able to get through your day versus maybe it's just going to make you more efficient. And so I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm being dramatic about that, but I sort of feel like it's really different between you and I in terms of that. So like, I was curious, your peak time. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. So like peak times are that time of day where you like get your best work done. And I wanted to bring up one piece because she says that every single one of her clients, almost to a T, says, my best time is 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. And so she calls this the great fallacy. Okay. Because when she digs down with them, she says she notices that they notice when they really dig into what they accomplished, that things were not really completed, or they tended to be really easily distracted at that time of night. So it feels like you're most engaged. It feels like when your brain's turning on, but it's actually not necessarily the same as your peak time.
Interesting.
Like you're not necessarily the most efficient. So I don't know.
This goes back
at
to my idea,
1 to
Michelle.
3 o'clock, I'm asleep.
This goes back to my whole theory, though, that flow does not actually equal getting things done.
Yes.
Because like I always feel flow in like the 1 to 3 o'clock time. Like, and when I was in my 20s, I would have absolutely said 1 o'clock. Like I am in peak mode.
1 a.m. in the morning. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. 1 a.m. Yes. I mean, I've always said I was a night owl, but
yeah,
when I really kind of step back and think, it's really like around 10 or 11 because that's sort of the time
In
that
the
most
morning
people
or
go
at
to
night?
sleep at night. So 2200.
Well, I'm wondering because she was saying like think from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Where is the time that you might be your most productive?
Well, but let me tell you what my thought was, and then we can decide if it's wrong.
Oh, it's not wrong. Any of it's wrong. I'm just telling you that's what she was saying.
Well, I mean, the thing with 6 p.m. is that like that's dinner time, and then like everybody's coming home, and it's like the most distracting time of my day. Is during dinner
That's
time.
why
So,
she's
like,
saying
I mean,
6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
All right, maybe during like the 2 p.m., 3 p.m. But like honestly, I don't know. I feel a little
like boxed in by that 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yeah,
piece,
I do.
maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
because like
okay.
Let me just finish saying what I was saying. I think I'm getting
most
so distracted
productive.
by all the like things. Like there's some giant like scary man on the wall here with like MF Doom that keeps
You're in
staring
Josh's
at me,
room.
like,
You're in Josh's
I'm in
room
Josh's
right now,
room.
and it's
There's
hard
like a
for you to
picture
focus.
there's like a picture of a hand with like veins popping out of it. I'm like, okay. And I didn't sleep well last night, and because like normally like there was like a decision that was made that we were going to have people over, but they decided when they were going to come over, and it wasn't my decision. So like they came, like I had to be ready by 10 o'clock this morning. And remember what we say, like only after 11, but that didn't work out for their schedule. Yeah. So I woke up at 9. It was just, it's been a morning. Okay. So the reason I've always felt most productive around 10 o'clock at night, because that's when everyone's finally going to sleep. And the distractions are so much less. Like there's not as much car noise. There's not as much, television. There's like the whole world feels quieter. And then I feel most laser focused when things are quieter, in that sense of like people's emotions. It's like everyone's asleep. So like they're not emoting all over the place, and I can finally rest and I can finally get stuff done.
So there's no time. I mean, she says that in general for most people that from 1 to 3 our circadian rhythms sort of like go into a lull. And so we're not as productive between 1 and 3 usually. But I think also she's waking up very early, probably. She's got a more traditional life, right? So if you're waking up, if you're waking up at 10, then it would be 10 to 10, right? I mean, she's saying 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., but if you're waking up at 11 or whatever, then it's 11 to 11. So that would kind of make sense. Like you just have a different 12-hour shift than she does.
Yeah. I mean, I think also like this one really is like depressing at the moment because my sleep is just so messed up because of perimenopause and because of long COVID. And so it's kind of harder to like gauge because I'm not in like a normal state anyways. And so like this whole time, like I do feel very boxed in with the time that she's saying like, okay, if that's what she's saying, I do like
unbox it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm okay. Let me just go through my day with you. Like I wake up like around 11. Like, sleep has just been a really big challenge for me in general. And sleeping with another human in the room, like that's also a challenge if like your work schedules are not the same. So I don't know if I can like truly speak to this right now. I can only speak to what I think of in the past, and but like right now I'm full blown in struggle mode. Like I don't have answers for sleep at the moment because I am not getting good sleep. I am like in the thick of it. And the most productive time that I have at the moment, like, let's say for instance, like yesterday, I got up and like around 11. Grandma Bobby came over for like until about like 12:30 or 1. And then from like 1 to 1 to 4, right before Josh got home, I was like just working on my book, and it was very productive, and I was able to like maintain and sustain. And so that was probably like what, 12 to 1. So it's probably 2 hours after I woke up.
Yeah. She actually says that, like, it takes about 2 hours to 3 hours for people with ADHD once you wake up to get going. So that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think it's really about like, what time do you actually wake up at, you know? And she obviously wakes up at 6. So that makes sense for her. Her probably most productive time is like 8 to 9 o'clock, 9 to 10, somewhere around there, and AM. But yeah, it's
so yours might be from like 1 to 3 because you're waking up at 11.
Right.
That's interesting.
That's right.
So the idea of it is sorry, and I guess I was kind of being like trying to get to more the actual like meat of it versus like the actual time frame, but I think we got a little like I got fixated on that because I was just trying to like go with what she had said, but that makes sense for me completely what you're saying. I wasn't trying to box you in. I was just trying to be like, what's the time frame for you? Because she's saying that time needs to be protected, and that's kind of what I was trying to get to. Sorry, so I sort of jumped ahead, but that idea of like that precious time of when you do feel at your most productive, it's important, she says anyway, to like really protect that time. And I was trying to think if I felt similarly or not, you know what I mean? I like, for me, like, I feel like I have definite times when I'm in a lull, but I'm not like at a standstill necessarily, or I'm not able to like refocus myself. Like I might need to sort of lay down for a minute or have a little protein bar or like do something to get myself going again. But I feel like I have more facility with my than like, oh my God, I have to protect this time because this is the only time it's going to happen. And I thought that was interesting. And I was wondering if you felt the same, was the question I was trying to get to. So I was trying to get past all the time thing. Sorry. But like, it's important for you to know what time it is too. So it's good for us to slow down a little bit with it. But that was kind of my curiosity, is like, do you feel like that peak time is something that you recognize you have? And if you do you feel like it's something that, you know, you might need to really hold on to and have it be sort of precious time?
I don't think I've ever really considered that peak time. Like I've never thought about it before. But it would make sense that like, and it would make sense that if I have this peak time, I would want to, like, I like the idea of like, once you figure out when your peak time is, it's precious, and I don't do anything during that time. Because like, I mean, I end up scheduling, because of how late I get up, I end up scheduling most of my appointments during that peak time. And then I'm like wondering why I don't feel motivated or able to do anything else. And so it, you know, maybe that's part of the reason why I'm in it right now. I'm just like super stressed out and like not feeling productive. And because I've been, you know, not protecting that peak time.
It's interesting because she says basically that's the time you need to do those things that need your full energy. Those yellow tasks, we talked about that solve it grid, and there's those yellow tasks that are sort of like hard to get done, annoying, but they're going to take most of your energy to get done. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like that you would really want to kind of like stack your day with those things, so that she said for her, or like one of her clients, that once she figured that out and she was able to like figure out her peak time, then she didn't feel bad when she was doing blue and green tasks, like doing things that were fun, or like, you know, even at work. She was like, because she knows, and I think this is true for you, like when you focus in for 2 hours, you get more done than most people get done all week. So it's like, if you can find that peak time and you can like really like hone in on it, that might be kind of gold.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I was thinking something, and I've lost it.
That's okay. We're talking about peak time. We had a lot. Yeah. We had a lot going on right before we got on the podcast too.
Yeah, that is true. It's fascinating because like I there's also something about this topic that is challenging for me. And my brain is not wanting to let me really process it. Like in a linear way. Like where, you know, cuz like I'm trying to like listen to what you say, but then like something pops into my mind, but I don't have the capability to hold it.
Interesting.
Which is, I find interesting.
It is interesting. And I think like I'm finding like today, because I've had such a really like tough week, it's my tax season equivalent of my life. And I think I'm probably just a little less patient as well, like with listening. So that's probably also distracting you, like if I interrupt you.
Yeah. But it's definitely a combination. And I'm in a different space, and that's new, and there's a lot of new stuff. But I am interested in this peak time idea, and I'm trying to think like, what is it that's interesting? Oh, I remember now. So I watched this. I think I've mentioned it before, where there's like this psychologist who's on YouTube, and he actually works a lot with gamers, and like people who are addicted to games and kind of addicted to social media and technology and all that. And so his thing was like, based on the science, he says, you don't want to use technology for the first hour that you wake up, because that is like he said, that is your brain's peak time. And if you're using technology, you're giving the best time of your brain to something that does not deserve it. Ultimately, like it could actually drain you further. And so I've thought about that and tried doing that, and I've wondered why I didn't. Like, I feel some easier way of kind of waking up, but I've also wondered like why it doesn't feel as good as what he's said. And I've done it for like a long time, like probably like 6 months I've been trying to do this. And I'm now wondering if like that peak time that you're talking about is really the time that like I should also not have technology on. So, you know, if I know 2 hours after I wake up is my peak time, okay, technology really I should not be using it 2 hours after I wake up.
Yeah, because I'm thinking maybe like my brain gets going immediately. I was telling you that. It's like my peak time is like right when I get up. So I would completely identify with what he's saying. I don't think that's true for you.
No.
I think like you could totally be doing some blue task stuff for 2 hours, and then you would get going. And that's probably okay for you. And I think like all of these things.
This is what I do, Michelle. I have this. These like
the ultimate coloring book,
activity book. It's a coloring book, and it's also puzzles. What? And then I've got a couple of them here, but I did that this morning, and I actually really enjoyed it. I like got up. I was like trying not to use technology, and then I got up and I was just like working on these puzzles, and it seemed to like kind of wake me up a little bit more. And I'm kind of wondering, like, maybe I shouldn't do them at night before I go to bed. Maybe I should do them when I wake up. I don't know. But there is something to be said about, like, just kind of getting my brain going again. Because, like, I just lay in bed and I'm in pain and I'm just like, ugh. And I'm kind of, like, just a little sad sack. And it's really hard for me to get up. It's very hard. I don't have any, like, even Brian asked me, he's like, so what do you think about? And I was like, nothing. There's like nothing in my head. Like I go to bed with like,
so it's definitely not peak time when you wake up, right? No, yeah,
not at all. Like it's, and that's why it's hard. Like when I'm realizing that in real time, I'm realizing this, that like, if I have to drive, like, I've been doing all these like trips, like road trips and like leaving and stuff. And if I don't, like, I really should be waking up like 2 hours before I have to actually get going, because then I'm like ready to go. And I've done that in the past, like where I get up and then I pack up the car a little bit. And then by the time I'm on the road, it's probably 2 hours after I've woken up. and I'm usually like raring to go. But like if I don't give myself those 2 hours, like it's just hitting me that like, oh yeah, I did not do well. I planned, okay, so we went to Utah a couple weeks ago, and again, normally I would like have whatever set up aside, like, you know, I got like my CPAP and like toiletries and everything I'm going to use in the morning. So I still have to pack up a little bit before the day of. And this time I was like, no, I'm going to like protect my sleep. I'm going to pack everything up. Like I don't need the CPAP. I'll pack that beforehand. It's fine. And I'll just get up and then we'll go. And so we did that. We just got up and went. And I was exhausted the entire time.
Wow.
Like I couldn't, like Brian drove for I think he drove actually almost all of the first leg of the trip. Because I just was
so unusual for you.
It.
You like usually drive.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Very much so.
Okay, so I want to go back. Like if I could start this podcast over, here's the question I would ask you. Is when you said I have peak time starting at 11 p.m. Then what I should have said was, go on. I was like, no, she said it's from 6 to 6. You know what I mean? So what's interesting to me is like all these suggestions, just like you said earlier, like all these suggestions that people have and all these things like you shouldn't use your technology because your brain can't, you know, is going to have peak time. And all of these things people are saying, it must be so confusing for somebody with ADHD because you're like, none of that holds true. Right. And it's obviously true. She's getting kids up to go to school and she has a job that starts at a certain time. And I'm sure that when you were working for the military, you could maybe identify with some of these things that she's saying a little bit more, but time wise, but like if you can have it the way you want it, you wake up at 11 and then 2 hours after that is your start of your day.
Yeah. That's kind of true.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it has been really hard because like it doesn't work well if your partner is waking up at 5:30 in the morning. It just doesn't.
And you're not.
So I think that's So I think that's been one of the other challenges. And I'm trying to think like if I woke up at 11, would my peak time be 10 hours after I woke up?
Right.
You know, probably not.
Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah. But what's interesting is that like, maybe this is where the fallacy comes in. Throughout my day, I have like these, I don't know, like waves of dopamine. I don't know. Or not, it's not dopamine, but it's like waves of, you know, like people say like, oh, I got a second wind. I can get like a third, I get a fourth, I get a fifth, like I get a lot of winds that just like come all of a sudden. Winded. So like I'm very windy. It smells great too. But like I do find that I get really tired like around 7 o'clock. And then it's like, if I don't go to sleep, then I'm up again. And maybe that isn't actually productive. Maybe that's like, you know, it's like you just need to go to bed when you're tired. And I've kind of wondered that. I'm like, do you just go to bed when you're tired? Like, I don't know. Like, and you're right. Like, there's just so many.
Do. Yeah.
Yeah, but you've also had the whole day to get stuff done, Michelle. So you've already felt productive and like you're not beating yourself up because you're tired. Whereas like I'm literally beating myself up because I'm like, I've only been up for how many hours and I'm exhausted again. And I haven't gotten anything done. And, you know, and I actually get really angry with myself. So I think the thing that's hard is like, you're saying it is really difficult when there's all these like little things. Like even when I say like, hey, this sleep thing really works for me. And Taryn's like, I would keep me awake, you know? And so it's like, just because it works for me as an ADHD person doesn't mean it's going to work for somebody else. So it's like, it's great that like, there's all these like little tidbits, but there's almost too much information. And then like, when it doesn't work, it just feels like, I just feel like a complete failure once again.
Yeah. Just like you failed at whatever the attempt of this new thing you're trying is.
And sleep is one of those things where like, the less sleep I have, the more angry I get. And I mean,
Harder
like, you
to
remember,
regulate your emotions, right?
yeah, but like, you remember when I was a kid, Michelle, like, I just was such an
Ugh,
angry kid. So
yeah.
angry. Cause it's just like, I feel that right now, like where I'm getting a little angry thinking about
Yeah.
this. And like, this is one of the reasons why I think I haven't really spent much time thinking about sleep, because like, it just makes me really, really upset and really angry in like a place that like I haven't been in a long time, because like it's just such it like it is so hard, and it shouldn't be so hard, but it just is, and I
Yeah.
don't know how to fix it.
That must feel really like helpless.
Yeah, it's helpless. I feel frustrated. I feel hopeless. I feel just I feel like a big fat failure. Yeah.
And I think
So
that
like,
as you're,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I've already forgotten. It's okay.
I think as I'm hearing you today, it makes a lot of sense that you said your sleep was disturbed because that you didn't get enough of it this morning. And I think that's why, I think anyway, that's why she says it's like her number one thing before you talk about peak time and before you talk about anything else. The sleep component of it is so extremely important for everyone, but specifically people with ADHD, because when you don't have enough sleep, then all those things that you had to be flexible around today are easier, at least once you've had enough sleep. And if you haven't had enough sleep, then it's like, feels like trudging through your day, I would imagine.
Yeah, because I couldn't tell you right now like when my peak hours are, because I am so exhausted all the time that I have no idea. And
Yeah.
maybe that's like the first part of it is like, okay, it's okay to like not be okay.
Yeah.
And
100%.
and it's like
100%.
just because you've got it figured out during one season of life doesn't mean you're going to have it figured out for another. Like if you have if anything in your life changes, right? Either a family member or something internally, or work, whatever it is, like any small change, like it can have a ripple effect. And then you have to kind of start all over again, which is super frustrating.
Right. And like you've been
Super.
here for a couple of days, which would throw your whole cycle off too. So, I mean, traveling is hard as well, which we could probably have an entire other podcast about. I think it would be interesting to maybe come back to this topic, when you had good sleep or better sleep, right? But also because I do remember you talking about this when you were at the military, and with the military, and had your job and you were starting to kind of sort of figure this out. Like, when were your times that you were going to do this or that? And I see you do it with the podcast now. I think today maybe it's hard to remember, but you do definitely have sort of a rhythm of when you're doing the editing, and you were sitting there and you were coloring while you were editing, and you have this whole process of how you're doing things. So I think maybe today just isn't a good day to think about it.
But that starts for me, that starts at 4 p.m. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's 4 p.m. Sometimes it goes into like 7 or 8. Like it's a different time, and I don't know, but I don't feel that way every single day though. I think that's the challenge. It's like,
right.
Some days I've figured it out, and yeah, like I think just having a routine made it a lot easier for work. Like when I did have to go to work, it was like, okay, I was very diligent about like 9 hours of sleep. And it was like non-negotiable. Like, I am going to work, so I am falling asleep. I'm going to wind down at 8:15 or whatever it was, so that I could get up in time. And really, like, honestly, until he's not working anymore, like I probably just need to go back and do that, because just the sheer act of like him getting up wakes me up, and so it pulls me out of sleep, and so then that can't be good for my sleep cycle.
Right. Right. So you're kind of needing to maybe be on his cycle until he retires.
Yeah. But even after he retires, like if he has to go to start going to school or, you know, if he
Yeah.
does get a job, I mean, like whatever, you know, I don't know.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for you to at least think about it. I know that this brought up a lot today. And it doesn't sound like you're dancing through your day right now. It sounds like you're trudging through it, but you're doing it. And
Yeah.
that part, you know, I know you keep working on it. And I think it's very hopeful, probably for anyone listening who feels similarly, that sometimes you do feel that way and that that's okay to not be okay, like you said. And that it's okay to have these times, and it's good to talk about them because at least you're like, there's an awareness, like maybe that's something I need to think through or try again, and maybe I need some help with it, and you know, and maybe just right now, but it's not forever, is feeling this way. And I don't know. I mean, I know it's such a lifelong thing that I understand that it maybe does feel like it's a forever thing, but
No, it doesn't feel forever. I mean, this does feel like a very specific moment in time because I didn't feel this way. And then like when I lost my job, like that really shifted things. And,
yeah,
you know, this has been an ongoing issue for me. And we've been talking to Brian about it quite a bit. And like this, so this is not like, I'm not like, because I didn't have good sleep last night, like this is why I'm feeling this way. Like I'm feeling this way because it's about this topic. This topic is very hard for me, especially like the sleep part was one thing to talk about, but then the peak hours, like that's the triggering part for me. That like I don't feel like I am productive right now. And I don't feel like I'm as productive as I could be. Like I know what kind of productivity I can be producing, and I'm not there. And part of it is because of age, and part of it is because of, you know, circumstance. Like there's all these different circumstances, and but I'm just like beating myself up, and I haven't been able to figure out how to like get out of it. So I think that's what you're hearing is not like, it wouldn't have mattered. I could have had, you know, 9 hours of sleep for like the last 2 months.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we started talking about this, well, maybe not. If I'd had 9 hours of sleep, I probably wouldn't have as big of an issue with like the productivity part. But, but like, I feel like a failure right now. Like, I feel like I'm trying to not beat myself up, but like my drill sergeant is really just being a jerk, and I'm being a jerk to me.
And I think that's interesting when you say that, because I see you have been so productive. And so it's like, you know, you've changed everything for like our podcast and made all these changes that, you know, allowed more people to listen. And you've been writing and illustrating the book that you're trying to have ready to go out before Christmas. And you've like taken care of your family, and you've like, you know, changed out my router, and like, you know what I mean? Like you just did I mean, you came here and you're like putting up curtains, and I mean, you know, you changed out mom's faucet, and then you like went all the way to Utah with your husband to help, you know, really advocate for your stepdaughter, and had a road trip, and then came back. Like you just seem so busy. So to me, that equates to productivity in my mind, but I can understand that. I think this idea of being in survival mode, that emotional health ladder we had talked about from before, that it's so easy for you to go into these swings where the drill sergeant's being a real butthead, and just to remind that drill sergeant to knock it off, because you've been extremely productive and helpful and gotten so much done. So, if possible, we can just tell that butler to.
Well, the thing that comes up for me is, you're right. As I roll my eyes really big, that I have. I mean, you're saying this stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, I did that. Oh right. And this has like been a lifelong struggle of mine, right? You're like,
Yeah,
Megan, you got a degree in New York City. And I'm like, oh yeah, right. I forgot about that. And I guess I was talking to my therapist about this week about like, I want there to like I want it to feel a certain way in my body. And like, I remember when I was creating Lynda, when I was like in my mid to late 20s, and
Lynda, your alter ego.
my alter ego, who might be making a new appearance.
Oh, what?
We shall see. I don't know. I mean, she might come on and give some ADHD advice. Who knows?
Because we think Lynda, your character is full blown ADHD.
Oh, she's 100% ADHD. I mean, come on, all the sparkly things that she wears, like, her whole thing is like, Coco Chanel is full of shit. Okay, when you go outside, put on 2 more things.
Coco Chanel would always say, take 2 things off, right? Whatever.
Yeah,
Before
like,
you would
look
go
in the
out.
mirror and take off 2 things and then go outside.
Yeah, you've got too much on. Yeah.
But when I was creating her and creating all of that, like, I remember it felt so good in my body. It felt amazing, and it felt like I was making something that I enjoyed. And even if I would go to work and then I'd come back and I was like, yes, this is it. And I haven't felt that in a very long time. And I love like what I'm doing with, I love the things that I'm doing, right? Like, I love this podcast, and I love the book that I'm making, and like, it's all very creative, but it doesn't give me that feeling of like, yes, I'm doing it, you know? And I don't know why that's different this time around. And I'm trying to remember now, because like I brought this up because I was talking to my therapist about it, and she said, first off, she's like, Megan, first, like, I was like, I just don't have the like motivation or whatever it was. I don't feel, I don't feel that way. And she's like, Megan, no one feels that way. Like, people don't just like wake up and they're just like, yeah, my life is amazing. And I'm like, but what, like, you know, so there's, her thing is like, you know, is like, how do you spend like your day, I don't know, having connection with yourself. And like, because of like the situation I'm in right now, like, I do feel a lot more lonely, and being away from you guys, and like being not in the, like, I was, at least when I was working, I was around people all the time, so I didn't feel as lonely. And these things that I'm doing are very solitary, and like, Lynda was a very non-solitary thing. Like, it was a production, like, where I was working with people. And so this is, I think, the challenge right now is like, how do I really enjoy working with others, because I feel like it reminds me of what I'm getting done. But is there a way for me to translate that to myself and not get distracted? Because I think I just get distracted with the fact that I've done stuff. Like, by the time I remember that I've done it, I'm like already onto something else.
Yeah. And I think this is actually related to this peak time concept. It's like etching out that time when you have time to do the yellow energy stuff, right? Like the podcast maybe, or maybe it's, you know, the book illustrations. That's going to take a little bit more energy, a little bit more of you, so that the rest of the day you can, or whatever other portions of the day, maybe it's not rest of the day, but it's like the other part, you're like, it's okay to just be you and to be who you are. And I want to say this just because I think this gal who she was talking about is that once she kind of figured out her peak time, and she figured out how her ADHD meds felt when they were really kicking in, because this gal did use medication. She said she could tell when the ADHD meds were kicking in, she would feel more calm and focused, and thoughts seemed to slow down so that she could get those yellow tasks done. And I didn't know if that made sense to you, but once she kind of paired those together, she said she was able to let go of the guilt that she used to have about doing the blue and the green tasks, the things that were more fun or that didn't seem so quote unquote productive, right? Like I'm going to go and hang and have lunch with my best friend. How important that is, but doesn't necessarily like equate to like getting things done, so to speak, in a traditional sense, right?
Yeah.
So I was curious about that as you just said that, if that made sense to you.
It does. And okay, I'm realizing something about myself. I've been doing this with ChatGPT because I'm like, there'll be like one kind of a question or some sort of a statement, and then she keeps talking and then telling me more, and then telling me more, and I'm just like, and then I don't remember what the original thing was. So can you repeat back to me that very first thing you were saying about what did she do?
So she started to notice when her ADHD meds kicked in.
Yes.
And she started to map that onto her peak time, like her normal peak time without meds.
Yeah. Okay. So I do know what that feeling is of like the meds are starting to kick in, because I kind of go from like this drone feeling, like this just like foggy mess of a person, into like it does. You feel like a little bit more clear and focused, and like I can get things done. What's interesting to me is that the yellow tasks of like doing the dishes and, doing the stuff that like is not that much fun, like I would never have said that like I should do those things at my peak time. Like when I hear the word peak time, I think like, that's like when you should be like, that's when you're most productive, and like you should do the thing that you enjoy the most, because then you're going to get it done. But really, like, I guess what she's saying is that, and you probably said this, but it's just now registering in me. That's the time to get those things done that like you have to get done, but you're never going to have motivation to do them.
Right. It's like the best chance you have to getting them done is what she's saying.
But this is why the wording that she uses in my mind is wrong, because
which I think has been consistent through this whole book.
Right. Because like peak time to me is like, like the stuff that you're doing is super fun and you're like in the flow and you're like, yeah, I'm feeling like you're feeling that ADHD rush, right? Which is not necessarily the time that you should be doing dishes. Facts. Because you're not going to have any time or capability to be able to do that. So that is what I was thinking about when you brought that up.
Interesting. So for you, peak time means flow.
Yeah, it's like my favorite time of the day. Like, what's my favorite time of the day? Yeah, it's like, after 11 o'clock. What's your peak time? And I think
she's saying your peak energy time, where you are slowed down enough that you can do these tasks. Maybe those overlap. I don't know, but
no,
it's like
I mean, I'm understanding it more now, like what she's saying. It was not at all how I interpreted it when we first started talking about it. I'm getting that
now for sure, as we're now breaking it down. I'm like, oh, okay, got it. Like, no, and it's good because it's like I was like trying to understand what we were not connecting on, but it wasn't clear. And it's really funny because we're like literally in the other room. Like you're just down the hall. Like I could just walk right now over there and say hi to you. And it's like been interesting because I'm like, I think we're on two parallel paths today, but sometimes that happens with us in the podcast. Like, and this is in real time because, we're not professionals. We're just sisters, right?
Just sisters,
so it's like just sisters trying to figure stuff out. So, okay. So peak time for her is like the best time to get that yellow task stuff done.
So she's saying like, okay, she's thinking peak in like the sense of, I don't know. I don't know why muscular is coming. I guess muscular is coming into my tanks. I can see these guys like these veins popping out, but like you're at the time
on Josh's wall.
I know. I'll have to like take a picture of it. Like that you're at your most like strongest.
Yes.
You're at the strongest, like the height of your day, and like you're gonna save the most grueling task for that moment in time.
Yes.
Well, that's just a whole new thing to think about, isn't it? I mean, no, it's like, it makes sense actually now that I understand it. No, it does. It makes sense because it's like, I've never considered doing it though. I'm like, now my mind is kind of blown a little. Like, what would I do during that peak time? Like, that, you know,
Yeah.
well, yeah. What would I do during that time? I guess that would I have to figure out. Well, I guess the other thing is like social media. If I had to do like social media stuff, like that's the time I would do it.
For the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like,
you don't enjoy it.
Oh, I don't enjoy it at all.
It's a yellow task.
Yeah, it is a yellow task. Has to be done, but
yeah.
So, you would do stuff like that, I guess. And so it's like you save. This is where like you have to have a little bit of planning though. You'd have to have a little bit of planning in your mind because then you have to like, okay, well, you have these tasks you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to remember to do them at that time.
Well, I think it's just a habit, a routine that you would decide, like anything, like with sleep, like I know you've had better sleep at some points than others and you've made decisions but you have to do it, right? I mean, that's hard.
Yeah.
I can make the decision that, I'm not going to have that extra glass of wine, but making the choice to not do it is something else, right? So it's just kind of like, it's hard to stop ourselves from doing habits that maybe aren't in our best interest or, I mean, this is, I think the piece that you worked on so hard is the emotional regulation piece and really like working through that in all the different ways. And so I think it's just this is sort of the icing on the cake. Like you've already done so much work in therapy and figuring out all the things. And now it's like, and I feel similarly, like when I'm reading through these, by the way, like I don't like go, oh, I have this all down. I was like, yeah, why aren't I protecting my peak time at work? And why aren't I like, she said she just puts like a notice in her door and says, I'll be available at noon. And I thought, yeah, like, right, I should do that.
Do that.
So, I mean, I have a job where I have to, be out and go and work with people and stuff. So, but I do have some control over my schedule and I'm not taking control of my schedule. So that's on me. Right. And so I was like, okay, so you have all this free time, which can be even worse in a way, but it's like, oh yeah, maybe from, 1 to 3 is not when you're doing doctor's appointments, or it is because that's a yellow task for you. I don't know. Right. Like there's different ways to look at it, but it's interesting.
Well,
but like, there's only so many yellow tasks also, right? I mean,
yeah, it's just reminding me that I need to get the sleep figured out first.
Yes.
And we talked about this at one point, like where whatever it is you do, you have to do the one thing first.
Yeah.
And you don't try to add in too many more things. Just got to get the one thing. And then what is the one thing? And the one thing right now really is sleep. Like that just has to be the priority of my life. Like everything has to now revolve around that.
Yeah.
Because without it, it is just, it's near impossible to figure out the rest of it.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think, I mean, it is different for me for sure, but I do think I feel similarly. And as I get older, I feel more and more similarly. I think I go back to what Taryn said, finding what worked for me was such a lifesaver to help me sleep because I'm really bad at sleeping. And when she says lifesaver, it's like that feels very real.
Yeah.
It's not just a cliche and it's not just this thing to say like it's how important it is. Josh and I talk about this a lot about like how important sleep is and putting, we always say like, like, are you like putting the technology to bed and, and like, is it going to go in its little cozy, it's got a little we have a little tech cabinet and it's kind of like, I mean, making these little ways of saying things that are gentler, I think, too. Like, it's not so much like, oh, you're bad because you did this. It's like, everything needs a little rest. Like, the technology needs a little rest too, like, and I don't know, I could totally see you having like a little song for it or something as you put it to bed. But I think making these choices though is hard and is that first stage of kind of adulting. It's like it isn't easy.
I think just also knowing too that like I need 9 hours of sleep right now.
Yeah.
With whatever's going on in my body. And I really do need to just probably get up with Brian at the same time because it's just not been going well to sleep in. And if he's getting up at 5:30, that means like 9 hours is 8:30. And if it takes me like a solid hour to wind down, like I really have to be kind of winding down by 7:30. Like, I wonder if I could just do that. Just be consistent with it and like just say like, yeah, that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to try to be in bed by 7. Like, I'm going to just try to like, I'm going to basically head to bed, because I have to still like do my face and brush my teeth and
all the things.
Yeah. And it takes me like 15 minutes just to get comfy in bed. There's just, it's a struggle. So,
well, you could try starting it tonight because you're supposed to be up and ready to drive at 7 in the morning. So
that's true. And I told Mom like, okay, I got to be up at 6 at the latest. But yeah, if I did that at 5:30, then I'd have to be in bed in like
be ready.
3 hours. I'd start going to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. But wouldn't it feel good to wake up not feeling like this?
It definitely would.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing and being vulnerable today. And I know anyone who's listening, this is real. This is just us, like, honestly figuring something out in real time. And we always, have a good time generally when we're talking, but we keep it real because
we don't shy away from the reality.
We don't. And sometimes, one or the other of us, it's a little bit bristly or whatever, but it's because we're sisters, people. And like family is like the best and the hardest, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's just, we know each other way too well. So, and we cut each other off way too easily. So sorry about that earlier. But I'm so curious if other people have strategies and how I think we keep coming back to sleep. And I think that's why Tamara comes back to sleep with her clients is that you can't get to peak time if you're not getting enough sleep.
Yeah,
you can't get to even understanding what peak time means until you get enough sleep. So, all right. I love you.
I love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to the Spicy Brain Podcast brought to you by Spicy Brain Studios. We hope this week's conversation on protecting your peak times gave you something that resonates with your own day-to-day life. Next week, we'll be exploring mental rehearsing. That's how visualizing ourselves doing a task can actually improve the outcome and make it easier to get started. But make sure to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss it. And if you're enjoying the show, leave us a review. It really helps other neurospicy folks find their way here too. But until then, here's to a great end of the week. And remember to stay curious.
And joyful.
Radical acceptance. High kick.